Nike's new ad turns heads and sends a message. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a preseason story. Nike drops a bold new spot featuring Browns rookie Shedeur Sanders on the heels of his preseason debut, signaling that the brand sees more than an audition. It sees a narrative they want to own. The ad surfaced within hours of Sanders' three-quarter performance, 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 TDs, and reads less like a marketing afterthought and more like an intentional declaration. Opportunity matters, timing matters, and the marketplace is ready to bet on potential even before the full evidence is in. Nike didn't wait for week 1 to pass or for a 4-game sample to settle public opinion. Instead, the company leaned into the moment. Clips of Sanders in practice, microshots of his college highlights, quiet family footage, and lines about readiness and seizing opportunity. The creative ties neatly to a viral weekend narrative. A rookie with a famous family name who tumbled in the draft but showed enough on Friday night to force a reevaluation. And it reframes that story as a broader cultural one about dreams, work ethic, and the suddenness of chances. For a global brand, this isn't just athlete endorsement, it's agenda setting. Nike is telling the NFL marketplace, we saw him early, and we're signaling he matters. That move has multiple immediate implications. First, it accelerates the player brand narrative. For a prospect whose stock is still being built, having Nike amplify your image is catalytic. It doesn't change the on-field facts. Tape and performance still rule roster decisions, but it changes perception economics. Fans, pundits, and other sponsors now view Sanders through a branded lens. Attention compounds. More views lead to more conversation, which leads to more social proof, which can, in turn, affect team and league decisions about playing time, exposure, and marketing resources. In a media ecosystem where perception often speeds ahead of proof, Nike just handed Sanders a turbo boost. Second, the ad is a commercial risk designed as cultural positioning. Brands don't back athletes without calculus. Nike's bet is explicit. The upside of being first to attach to a potentially big-name star outweighs the downside of a premature association if the player doesn't pan out. That calculus is informed by modern attention economies and the relative cheapness of early creative versus the lifetime value of owning an athlete's narrative. If Sanders becomes a multi-year starter, Nike gets a durable return. If he fizzles, the ad becomes a footnote, an expensive one, perhaps, in the short term, but not catastrophic in the portfolio of a global marketer. This asymmetric risk-reward is why big brands increasingly move fast in the marketplace. Third, the ad complicates the Browns' internal calculus. NFL teams generally prefer to control player narratives because roster decisions carry competitive consequences. A major brand injecting itself into a developing story amplifies external pressure. Coaches and front offices now operate in a noisier environment. The rookie's marketability is rising concurrently with his on-field evaluation. That can warp incentives subtly, not necessarily in a corrupting way, but in the form of amplified optics costs. On one hand, the Browns can piggyback on the publicity to market sellout crowds and merchandising. On the other hand, elevated public expectations can ratchet impatience if development stalls. The organization must therefore keep evaluation disciplined. Nike's commercial backing is an input to consider, but never a substitute for game tape and medical reality. Fourth, there's a league-level narrative here about power and story ownership. The NFL is fiercely protective of its brands and the narratives around them, but it has ceded considerable soft power to external players, broadcasters, social platforms, and now sponsors who can manufacture viral impetus. Nike's ad is not a violation of that ecology. It's a masterful exploitation of it. The league benefits when stars arise and attention spikes, but it also has to manage fairness perceptions. Competing brands will watch closely. If Nike's early mover strategy proves valuable, rival sponsors may accelerate their own preseason playbook, increasing commercial noise around rookies and backups league-wide. Finally, there's a human element that matters. For Shedeur Sanders, the ad is both opportunity and responsibility. It validates his work and the narrative of redemption after a dramatic draft slide. It also raises stakes. Social media will amplify every snap, every mistake, and every policy moment. The player support system, agents, PR, and team communications must now be proactive. Protect the development arc. Keep the rookie insulated from commercial pressures that could skew preparation while leveraging the endorsement in ways that bolster confidence and financial security. The optimal approach is pragmatic. Use the brand momentum to secure long-term stability, earnings, resources, mentorship, but keep football decisions tethered to performance metrics. What should happen next? For Nike, continue telling the story, but avoid overexposure. The most effective brand partnerships scale with the athlete's actual milestones. Restraint early creates credibility later. For the Browns, treat the ad as a marketing plus, not a football edict. Maintain the development ladder, measured reps, progressive challenges, and guardrails against hype-induced decisions. For Sanders, let the tape speak louder than the timeline. Use the backing for practical investments, training, recovery, mentoring, not as an excuse to rush progress. In short, Nike's ad is a shot across the bow of the NFL's narrative economy. It's less about declaring a rookie a future star than it is about grabbing cultural ownership of a story at its birth. The real test will unfold on Sundays, whether the commercial momentum converts to sustained performance. Until then, the ad is a powerful reminder that in modern sports, brand signals can arrive faster than box scores, and sometimes they change the conversation before the final whistle. Nike's new ad featuring Shedeur Sanders lands like more than just a marketing push. It's a deliberate power move that reframes the entire conversation around the rookie after one electrifying preseason outing. Timing is everything in sports marketing, and Nike nailed it. Dropping a campaign the same weekend Sanders got a three-quarter audition and threw 2 touchdowns wasn't accidental. It ties into the exact narrative that makes athletes marketable. The fall and rise story, the underdog who was overlooked, the raw talent that proves the doubters wrong on stage. Throw in Deion Sanders' social media call about opportunity, and the spot becomes a 1-2 punch of family lore and brand storytelling. From Nike's perspective, this is smart, high-upside branding. Sanders is uniquely visible. On-field pedigree from Colorado, an infamous draft slide that generated national debate, and a family name that guarantees attention. By backing him now, Nike positions itself with a potential future star at a low cost relative to the payoff if he becomes a legitimate NFL starter. It's a classic risk-reward play. Pick the compelling human story before everyone else does, and you own the cultural moment if it blossoms. But the ad is also a statement aimed at the league. It quietly challenges the NFL's narrative control machinery. Teams evaluate talent and assign draft value, but brands move in when public sentiment and marketability don't align with those decisions. Nike's move telegraphs confidence in Sanders' star power, regardless of where the Browns ultimately slot him on the depth chart. To rival teams and talent evaluators, it says the market will decide some players' worth, not just the tape or the draft board. For the Browns, the fallout is double-edged. On one hand, Nike's endorsement elevates their rookie into a household name overnight. Publicity the franchise can monetize and fan engagement it can't buy. On the other hand, it complicates personnel decisions. A brand-backed rookie who lights up in preseason creates external pressure to give him meaningful chances, invites constant media scrutiny, and risks creating clubhouse dynamics if veterans perceive unequal treatment. There's also a league-wide ripple effect. Other companies will watch closely and quickly. If Nike's bet pays off, expect competing brands to jump on young, story-driven players earlier than ever. That accelerates the commercialization of preseason moments and transforms rookie camps into marketing incubators as much as talent evaluations. Ultimately, the ad crystallizes a truth about modern sports. Performance and narrative travel together. Shedeur's on-field debut supplied the performance. Nike's ad supplies the narrative frame that could amplify it. Whether this becomes a defining career partnership or an early flash depends on what comes next. More preseason tape, regular season snaps, and the Browns' willingness to let the story play out on the field. For now, Nike didn't just celebrate a promising night. It issued a challenge to the NFL and rival brands alike. Notice him, or someone else will.